Hello and welcome to the plenary session on the mining sector, and we're going to be looking at igniting infinite possibilities in the mining sector, focusing on technology, which is the focus of this seminar that we've been having. I'm your host, I'm Dube, and I'm joined by the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Edmund Mkaratigwa, as well as the Mine Affairs Manager at the Chamber of Mines, David Matyanga. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time with us this afternoon as we look at how we can expand our mining sector to be technology survey. So I'll start with you, Honorable. How involved, in your opinion, is the private sector in terms of developing technology in the mining sector?
Thank you very much. At the moment, I can say in terms of innovations around manufacturing of products and equipment that is necessary for the mining industry, I think we are still challenged as a nation because the private players are not really there in terms of embracing technology innovations. There's still a lot to be done. However, there are some players in the private sector who are manufacturing consumables and spares that are necessary for the mining sector. But there is room for improvement in that respect. There's huge scope if they can actually be in a position to access funding, because I view funding as the major challenge, and more so the fact that a lot of capital outlay in foreign currency is required in that respect. So we still have a lot to do, and in line with the National Development Strategy 1, we should be able to see more and more players in the private sector coming to the party, because the government has launched the initiative through its various departments, various ministries, especially the Ministry of Education is actually leading with their embracing of Education 5.0. We've seen a lot of incubation hubs being constructed and developed, and we view this as being able to nurture upcoming entrepreneurs, and once they are nurtured, they should be able to run with new businesses, new manufacturing, new innovations, and I hope we should see more and more of those innovations in the mining sector, because that's the bedrock, that's the anchor of our national development strategy, apart, of course, from the land which is under the Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you.
You speak about funding, Honorable. In your opinion, is it easy for companies to actually access this funding in this country?
It's not easy, because basically our own local banks are not coming to the party in terms of extending banking facilities aimed at priming this important aspect of our manufacturing, which actually augments the mining fraternity. And I'm hoping that the environment, as we have seen efforts done by the Ministry of Finance to stabilize the microeconomic environment aimed at making sure there is consistency and confidence building. Once that happens, we should be able to see local banks, starting with those with international external ties, perhaps coming up with the facilities. But of course, our own Reserve Bank plays a major role to that perspective, in the sense that for any borrowing or lending to be done in foreign currency, there is need for exchange control approval. Right now, perhaps
Right.
we still need to do a lot to allow our policies to promote lending in foreign currency, because in terms of setting up industries, there is a lot of capital outlay involved in hard currency.
I'll come to you, Mr. Matyanga. You are with the Chamber of Mines, and I'll ask you a similar question that I asked to Honorable Mkaratigwa in terms of the role of the private sector and actually leading in innovation in the mining sector. So, to what extent do you think the private sector is actually contributing to this?
Thank you, Mona Lisa, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in this forum. I would like to concur with Honorable Mkaratigwa in that the Zimbabwean mining space has had some important innovations that it has actually produced. However, there is a room and scope for increase in the level of innovation that can be done by private sector. I think to follow what the Honorable Chairman has indicated, the supply chain into the mining industry has had significant players such as Nima and Chapman, ABJ, to mention a few. And these are producing innovative products in terms of mineral processing. And these are also known in the region, and they are also supplying to the region. However, as he rightfully said, there is room for improvement. There is room to, for private sector to benefit from a more conducive environment that can then push them and incentivize them to move forward. The issues that is talked about of foreign currency availability are issues, the issues of electricity supply. Of late, the electricity supply has been stable, but over the past, we've seen that electricity as a major input into the mining sector has been a serious challenge in terms of reliability of supply, as well as the high tariffs compared to those that are in the regions. So these are factors that really affect businesses in terms of their capacity and ability, to innovate and to support the initiatives to move forward.
Mr. Matyanga, you speak about incentives. You speak about how the mining sector, especially in the private space, would want to have some incentives to actually make more contributions as far as technology is concerned. And what sort of incentives are we talking about here?
The incentives that private sector needs is those that enhances their profitability and create that space that allows them to use those profits to plow them back into research and development. Remember, research and development is a very expensive initiative. It is quite disruptive, and therefore you need the companies to be given, or to generate the necessary revenues that allows them to plow back the resources into the research and development. Remember, when you do research and development, you are also competing in terms of time and space with production. So you need to be able to ensure that is well balanced. So fiscal incentives would really be important, and also any issues that enhances the foreign currency available to these companies for them to be able to use those extra resources to plow into the capital that is needed, the infrastructure that is needed to push research and development.
Mm-hmm. What has been the issues regarding foreign currency accessibility? I know you've brought it up, and I also pose the question to Honorable Mkaratigwa. And as we're talking about innovations and technology, foreign currency will be at the center of actually obtaining this as a country. What sort of challenges would you say are there in actually accessing this foreign currency, and how can it be addressed?
The major challenge is that the foreign currency that we are retaining, or that is being retained by the mining industry, is proving to be insufficient to cover operational costs and investment requirements. And at this stage, we are engaged with government and with Parliament as well to try and ensure that the space that is given to the private sector in terms of the amounts of foreign currency retention levels are adequate for for the industry to manage their current operations, as well as invest in capacity and also to undertake research and development.
And I know that before I engage on Mkaratigwa here, I know that big mining companies, like the large miners at large scale, they have been given the go-ahead by authorities to actually pay some of their obligations in local currency. Hasn't that helped? I know that right now companies are at 50% foreign currency retail, are able to pay some of their responsibilities in local currency. Has that not helped?
Apologies, Mona Lisa, you broke up at some point. I didn't get the question.
Okay. No. You speak. There's an issue that you brought up, Mr. Matyanga, in terms of foreign currency retention, and I know that across different sectors in business, it's always an issue. Even with the tobacco farmers, they want higher foreign currency retention, and I know that large-scale miners right now, they are at about 60% foreign currency retention. Yes. And I do understand that the government has allowed them to pay some of their obligations in local currency. You speak about having to be able to access that foreign currency. So I'm asking, has that not helped?
All right. The foreign currency requirements that the mining industry requires are for materials and inputs that are not found locally. And that is the 60% that we are able to get to retain, and that is not sufficient, as I indicated, for their operational requirements, as well as for the capital investments that they need to make to grow the industry and do other innovative issues. So that's where the question is. For payments in local currency, that is happening, and that is not too much of a challenge. The challenge is in that some of the local products that are foreign based but charged locally are being priced at a premium. The application of the rate that they use is at a premium, and as a result, the cost in local currency is quite high. That's another challenge on the Zim dollar side.
You can see me now.
And Honorable, I'll engage you also on this issue. Mr. Matyanga here did highlight that they have been trying to engage Parliament in terms of all these issues that they're bringing up in the mining sector that should enable them to do that. So what, in your engagement with probably the Ministry of Mines and in Parliament, in your engagements, what has been some of the responses regarding this? Honorable, we can't hear you. While we get that sorted out, let's move on, Mr. Matyanga. I'm sure we will sort it out. I know that one of the major pillars of the National Development Strategy in achieving the 2030 is to make sure that there is beneficiation within the minerals sector. And there are 5 key minerals that have been highlighted, including chrome and platinum, as well as gold. How is this going, Mr. Matyanga?
All right. Mineral beneficiation is a process And we in the industry are happy with the progress that we are achieving in terms of mineral beneficiation. Whilst we recognize that a lot more can be done, if we look at the gold sector, we have a local gold refinery in Fidelity Printers and Refiners. And as you may be aware, this is a central facility which smelts and refines gold. Within the PGM sector, we have got two companies that have got smelters, and there are possibilities that we can actually move up the value chain in the PGM sector to a base metal refinery. In the diamond sector, there is a quota that we have in terms of diamond cutting and processing. However, the uptake within the local industry of cutting and polishing is not taking up all that quota that is currently set at 5%. In the chrome sector, we've got, I think, about 7 chrome smelters, and the scope to increase them to 11 in accordance with the NDS 1 framework. So therefore, we are moving, and we hope that the investment environment will continue to improve to allow additional investment in these sectors so that we can move up the mineral processing value chain.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that comprehensive topic. We did speak about the national development strategy, etc., Mr. Matyanga. So let's look at some of the issues that are there, because we're looking at Agenda 2030, and I know that it was taken over from the Transitional Stabilization Program, and we have about 5 years to get into this. What contribution, in your opinion, is the mining sector making towards the national development strategy?
As you may be aware, the National Development Strategy is a new policy instrument by government, and we are happy that it has a comprehensive component on the mining sector on 2 fronts. One, in terms of the iron and steel and general engineering facet, as well as the mineral beneficiation facet. And as I indicated on mineral beneficiation, a lot has actually been done, and a lot is going to be done. We hope that we can continue contributing to the NDS 1 in terms of the matrix that has been provided. But more importantly, by generating foreign currency for the country. As you are aware, the mining sector contributes 60% to foreign currency earnings, and therefore will continue to be a major source of foreign currency so that it can be plowed into the sector and for other non-exporters to utilize and for the economy to move. The second component is on the employment creation, which is part and parcel of the drive to ensure that we have full employment by the time we get to 2030. The other component that we will contribute towards is in our corporate social investment drive. And these areas will complement all government efforts to try and ensure that we get to 2030 and be a medium, upper middle class economy by 2030.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Zimbabwe becoming an upper middle society by 2030, I know that the mining sector has a target of about $12 billion by 2023, which is in about 2 years. And I recently had a conversation with the Minister of Mines, Winston Chitanda, who was talking about some of the strategies that the government has put in place together with the private sector. We are also engaged Mr. Chandavengerwa, who just joined us. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm not sure how far of the conversation have you actually taken part of, but I'll probably pose this question to you as well, Mr. Chandavengerwa. In your opinion, how are we faring in achieving the $12 billion target by 2023?
Thank you very much, Mona Lisa. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Yeah, no, I think we're struggling with technology here, but as long as you can hear me, I will carry on. Well, I think I've just joined now, and I think all I can say at the moment is that we are on course. In our journey towards the 12 billion by 2023. Just to give you a little bit of statistics, I think last year, excluding gold, we realized about just over 2 billion worth of exports. And for 2021, our target is almost 3 billion, which we're looking at about 2.9 billion, which is a major jump from where we were last year. And already in the first quarter, we have seen significant improvements in terms of our exports. So I think from our standpoint as MMCZ, if all these projects, come into fruition, the market is there. We think that we should be able to get to that target.
How are you keeping track, Mr. Chandavengerwa? I really want to know. How are you keeping track of these targets, and how are you coordinating with other institutions such as the Chamber of Mines as well as the government to see how this is actually going?
Well, we are a member of the Chamber of Mines, and obviously we are also part of government under the Ministry of Mines. So right. We plan together, so all these strategies that are discussed at the ministry level, we are party to them. And our aim or our role there is to make sure that as soon as there are expansions in the mining sector, we are ready as MMCZ then to find markets for those products. We are aware of all the projects that are happening around the country, and our role is to make sure that we then prepare markets where we can then offload those minerals. So we are part of the strategy making and also the implementation process.
All right. And don't forget that we are talking about igniting infinite possibilities as far as leading in technology in the mining sector and the contribution that the mining sector is supposed to have to attain this. Now, Mr. Matyanga, to what extent? I know we spoke about some of the issues you've been facing as a mining industry, and it needs a holistic approach. You obviously cannot handle these issues by yourself. You need support from the government and from even other different sectors within the government. And I know that we need to talk about bridging the gap between what's happening in the field and what's happening in the academia. And I know that Honorable Mkaratigwa earlier